G'day, Ethan here from Bogan Boring. Going out tonight. It's a weekend. We're going to a couple of nights with a thermal. I've got no dogs on tonight. We've been running the dogs during the day. This weekend I'm just going to spell them at night. We're going to run the thermal. Just going to take 2 to 3 out and see if we can shoot a few and see how we go. Going to try and get a bit of thermal footage. And I've got a Hick Micro Alpex day-night scope on the 2 to 3, which we'll try and see how that goes. We'll try and get a bit of footage through that as well. But yeah, tonight, no dogs on. We've left them at home. They've had a pretty good weekend during the day. We've done a couple of day runs and I managed to get a few with them. So yeah, tonight we'll just run the spotlight, run the thermal, and we'll see how we go. You'll notice here we've just started the thermal, and the thermal throughout the night's fairly shaky. I don't have a roof mount in my ute. I've just got a strut mount on the window, which I've made a homemade bracket up, which goes over the top of my power beam spotlight, so the thermal sits up on top of that. Does pick a fair bit of vibration up through the door and through the handle itself that it sits on, so you'll notice throughout the night that it is a bit shaky, and that's sort of, I can't help that. That's how it is at the moment. But we do get a bit of good footage. You would have seen this big mob here. They were just coming off a fair bit of spilled grain from sowing, and they just disappeared. Like that timber lot there is probably only 100 metres wide, and they've just slowly made their way in and disappeared. There was a big fella that hung at the back. If I had the dogs, I could have probably let them out. Hopefully you would have hoped they might have caught the big fella, but they would have caught one or two in there. And it's pretty amazing how quick, even with the thermal, they go into that timber and just disappear in behind there. Never to be seen again, and sometimes you hope, you sort of poke out the other side, they might come out, but they're bloody cunning in there. So what you'll see here is I've just paired up the footage that I've got from my scope and timed in line with what I had on the thermal. You'll notice how visual these pigs are on the thermal. You can see them in that stubble, and how you can't see them through the scope. A bit like these pigs here, you can see them nice and clear. They're in a little bit of scrub. Really easy to see through the thermal. I'll turn the scope on, focus it in, turn my spotlight on, and it is quite difficult to actually pinpoint down where those pigs are, except by sort of following line of sight where the thermal's facing. Then you sort of pick which one, try and always get a good side shot, head shot. But you'll notice how once I shoot, trying to focus from the scope, I'm looking back at the tablet to try and see in the thermal if they're still there, focus back down the scope. It's quite difficult, so I'll sort of only see me get one pig in a mob at a time. Same in the stubble. I can see them in the thermal, I'll be able to pull up, and then I've only got a small target window because I'm in the ute. I can't shoot directly out the front. I've got to adjust my positioning in the ute to where the pigs are so that I can get a nice clean shot with the scope. You'll notice with these pigs here, the better mob sits on the right, but there's a really good pig I seen in the thermal. He immediately starts to run to the tree line beside me. So I'm punching it along, trying to cut these pigs out to try and get him to pull up so that I can get a nice clean shot at him. He doesn't, and he's going to pretty much come run right in beside the ute. So I stuck the scope out, somehow sighted him, and pulled off an absolute cracker of a shot, which I just happened to get in the scope as well. And I think I got lucky there more than skill. The mob come straight at me, and then we managed to get a couple out of it as well. As you couldn't have got any better, as they just ran straight at us.
If you watch this mob closely, you'll notice there's a couple of pigs. One snuck off as I was driving up out the back. Another one just sitting out the back now, ducks out behind the timber. Both of them were better pigs and both of them were cunning. They knew straight away as soon as they heard the vehicle to get out of there. They're in a timber line at the moment that's probably about 30 metres wide. And again, this is where there was a bit of spilled grain from air seeder filling up. The bigger pig here, you'll notice out the back, he is one of the ones on that mob that I just seen before that actually snuck off earlier. So this timber strip, like I said, is about 20 metres wide. He's come out and he's gone onto some sown ground. He's got about 150 metres to get across it. Then he'll hit another really thick timber scrub again. So I've poked through this bit of scrub here, come out the other side, tried to line myself up so I can get a clean shot on him. Obviously, all I've got is just arse end facing me. I'm only using a 223. If it was a 308, I probably could have put one up him from behind and it would have slowed him up at least to get a second shot. The 223, sort of no chance. So I've had to wait for him to try to step sideways and then taken a shot. Unfortunately, I did hit him and it was a nice clean shot right in the front shoulder, but he just kept on going. We've just finished up for the night. That's the weekend done. We did 2 nights of shooting. We ended up getting 24 overall shooting. A bit of dogging we did during the day. We got another 26, so all up we ended up with 50 for the weekend, which we're pretty happy about. Pretty successful. We got a few more numbers on the ground. So, as always, hunt hard, hunt safe.